keto friends. Okay, if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I love making my keto bagels. Super simple, easy recipe. I'm going to show you exactly how I do it, start to finish, and I promise you guys will absolutely love these bagels. They're awesome for grilled cheese, they're awesome for sandwiches, they're awesome for open face sandwiches. I mean, anything that you would need bread for, you can use these bagels for. So I'm going to show you exactly how to make them. First thing you want to do, grab a mixing bowl, and then I'm going to start with 1.5 cups of almond flour. I like the super fine almond flour from Costco. The only thing I want to point out to you guys is make sure you're looking at the nutrition facts on your almond flour because it's not all created equal. There's actually some that are higher in carbs. This one ends up being 2 net carbs for 1/4 cup, which is really good. So kind of compare that to the ones that you guys find. So I'm going to do 1.5 cups of almond flour, and then I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and I'm going to mix that in a bowl and set that to the side. Next, well, I forgot to tell you guys, I do put a little bit of pink Himalayan salt in my flour mixture, just a couple little, I don't know, maybe a teaspoon. I don't really measure that. Next thing you're gonna do is mix up an egg, just 1 egg. I just put it in a little bowl like this and just mix it up with a fork until it's all mixed together. Super easy, right? So far, you guys can do this. You've got this. Doesn't take long, I promise. It does not take long. Okay, next thing is you're gonna get a microwave safe bowl, and I put in 2.5 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. I'm gonna tell you a tip about the cheese. I like to shred my own from a block of mozzarella because the pre-shredded cheeses usually have some type of additives, preservatives, whatever in them so that the cheese doesn't stick together in the bag, and it just doesn't melt the same as freshly grated cheese. So that's my little tip, advice, or whatever you want to take it. 2 cups shredded mozzarella cheese, and then 2 ounces, you guys can see mine in there, 2 ounces of cream cheese. I'm going to melt this in the microwave for 1 minute, and then I'm going to stir it, and then another minute and stir it again. All right, guys, I just got this out for the 2nd minute. You guys can see it's really runny, and this is when I'm going to pour the egg in. This I feel like is a kind of an important step to get that egg mixed in there while the cheese is really melted, really soft, so that you can mix those two. If you let this cheese sit for a little bit, it's going to obviously not be as soft and runny, and the egg is a little bit harder to mix in there. So after I mix those cheeses and the egg together, then I'm going to pour this mixture right into my flour mixture. And then what you want to do is I mix this up as much as I can with a spoon. Again, you want to kind of do this fast while the cheese is really melted. It's going to make it so much easier. And if for some reason you have to stop for a second, just pop it back in the microwave for another, 20 seconds or so, just to kind of melt that cheese again and get it really soft. So once it gets to this point where you guys can see I'm having a hard time mixing it, that's when I'm going to take it over by the sink, and I'm going to knead it with my hands, and I'll tell you why I go by the sink in just a second. Okay, I'm over by the sink, and here's probably the biggest tip for this recipe. Once you knead it with your hands, run your hands, have the water running, cold water running, just a little bit. You don't need it full blast, but have a little bit of cold water running to run your hands under, and that will keep the mixture from sticking to your hands. Okay, so I run my hands under. I'm gonna grab the mixture, and I'm going to kind of mix it in the bowl a little bit, try to get the rest of that flour to stick to the ball of cheese that's already mixed together basically. And once I get it, all the flour stuck in there, and again, keep running your hands under that water. That's going to help it. My screen keeps turning off. That's going to help it from sticking, that's going to keep it from sticking to your fingers, to your hands. So once I get it like this, then I hold it over the sink again, so I'm right by that water, because I'll just periodically run my hands under that water, again, to keep it from sticking. This is the biggest tip I have for this part. And then I'm just taking it like this, and I'm just kneading it together. I'm just squishing it. This is another important tip too, is you want to make sure you get all that cheese really mixed in good with the flour, or you'll have parts of your bagel that are really super dense, parts that are really flaky. So to get a good, even consistency of your bagel, You want to mix it and knead it as much as you can while it's really soft and pliable. So once you're done with that, then we're going to shape the bagels, and I'll show you that too. All right, now we're gonna shape the bagels, and again, I still have my water right here running because you're still gonna want it. So then I take the pile of dough, and I just pinch off about that much. It just depends on how big. This recipe will make about 6 bagels, depending on how big. If you make them a little bit bigger, you'll probably only get 5. But then I just take the dough and just kind of form it into a tube shape, and then I circle around and connect it, and that's gonna be my bagel. And then I just set it right on my pan. I use a silicone baking mat, so I don't have to spray the pan or anything. If you don't have a silicone baking mat, you will want to either grease or butter or whatever to your pan. You can maybe even use foil if you want. I haven't tried that. I love these mats. So if you guys don't have these mats, I highly recommend getting them. You can also use a bagel pan or a donut pan. I actually prefer them this way. And I don't know exactly why. They're just better this way to me. So again, I'm just going through, pinching off about this much and forming them into a tube and then shaping them to a bagel, and I'll show you what they look like when I'm done. All right, here are the bagels. They're all done. Okay, a couple tips right now is the flatter your bagels are, the more they're gonna spread. So I try to shape mine to where they're pretty tall, about an inch, inch and a half tall. If you want a hole in the middle of your bagel, you want the hole to be pretty big. These will actually probably still close up. I don't mind that there's no actual hole like a bagel, but that's totally up to you. And then this is the part where you can do so much with these bagels. So you can top them with so many things. I like to use the everything but the bagel seasoning from Trader Joe's, and I can just sprinkle that on. I'm also gonna show you a tip for helping this, sorry if you can hear the jets flying over, for getting this to stick at the top. So I'm only gonna do 2 with this, and then I also like to top with Parmesan cheese, or Asiago cheese is really good too. I don't have any Asiago cheese, but that's a really good one. But if you guys can see, as I'm putting this on the bagel, it's not sticking to the bagel very well, and you want to avoid pressing the topping into the bagel because that's gonna flatten it out. So what I like to do is I like to just flip my bagel over and just kind of tap it on those toppings, and then it will stick. Can you see that? It will stick to the top of my bagel, but I'm not flattening my bagel out at all. And the cheeses, any cheese that you put on top, this is definitely gonna be a tip you wanna do because they just don't stick to the top without a little bit of pressure. But can you see the difference there? And look at this, my screen keeps turning. So this is the one that just didn't stick to the top. So I'm just gonna flip it over, just barely lightly tap it on those toppings that are already on the mat, and then look how that cheese just stuck right to the top. And then I'm going to leave these 2 plain. I forgot to tell you, if you missed in a few stories ago, I did type it, but you want to preheat your oven to 380, or what? Okay, let me go back. 400, let me get to my face. Okay, 400. I use a convection oven, so I like to cook them at 380 for 10 minutes. If you don't have a convection oven, I would do 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. They may look a little underdone, but take them out. They'll continue cooking a little bit as they cool, and they will be a golden brown, perfect bagel. I'm so excited for you guys to try those. And let me know if you guys have any questions. Just feel free to message me and I'll help you out. All right, I just took them out of the oven. This is how they should look, nice golden brown, and see how they've kind of taken shape once they cooked. So I'm gonna let these cool, and then I'm gonna have one for lunch. I'm super excited, so